Hello, everyone, and welcome to the AAA. That's the Ask Antoni Anything session, which we do monthly here at Nexo for you. And I know I say this a lot, that this is a special one, but this truly is a special phenomenon and an extraordinary one, because today's session is dedicated to the birthday, the fifth birthday of the Nexo platform. Which occurred just a short while ago on April 30th, and it was on April 30th, 2018 that we launched the Nexo platform. And man, what a ride it has been. Truly phenomenal. To me, it feels like it is 50 years ago, and not just because I'm starting to have gray hair, which I didn't have 5 years ago, but because so much has happened in crypto. And the only constant appears to be Nexo, which is rising and rising, steadily rising through bear markets, bull markets, sideways markets, round and round in circle markets, whatever it is. We are here to stay and to service you and to deliver phenomenal products for you. So truly an amazing ride. 5 years in crypto probably equals 50 in the traditional financial sector. And, we've seen so many things. Before I dive into the questions, I just want to take a second and truly thank the team that is behind this. It has expanded enormously. We were a bunch of enthusiasts, 5 people to begin with, when now we are over 600 something, if I'm not mistaken. So, a phenomenal growth, not for sake of growth, which a lot of companies seem to be pursuing or have been pursuing, but organic growth. And it is always the team. And I get a little bit teary-eyed and sentimental, even though I'm not the sentimental type, but I really wanted to take some time and thank the team, regardless of the sector, of the branch of Nexo that you're working in. Your hard work is valued. It is absolutely quintessential to the success that we have today. And, I wouldn't be sitting here today if the general idea about Nexo, this notion of crypto-backed lending, which we essentially invented, pioneered, and then not only had the vision to imagine, but put in practice and in the most efficient, automated, fluent way possible. It would all not be possible without Trenchev, who is, my friend, my business partner, my co-founder, and the person whose idea Nexo is, and he has been the engine of so much excitement and innovation at Nexo that, I and the entire team would like to just, dedicate this moment to thank him for, blessing us with this initial impetus to create Nexo together, which is felt throughout Nexo to this present day, and may that continue going forward. And with that very short 5-minute overview of my initial thoughts, we are diving into the questions. There are some, and the first one comes from Benny. It asks me, as is, from very, very early on, even before the ICO, we had a very clear vision of what we want to do, the product that we want to develop. It was a product that we needed as users, Costas' idea again. But, as early Bitcoin adopters, we wanted to be able to borrow against our crypto so that we can continue to hold Bitcoin, Ethereum, other tokens, obviously, but there weren't that many tokens back then, as they are today. So crazy growth for the space. But we had a very clear vision as what the product will look like. So, there's a lot of companies that started it backwards. Okay, now it's a ICO frenzy. I can raise money. I'll figure out what to do after I raise the money. And then you get sloppy, then you get lazy, then you get complacent because, you have a bunch of money that came out of nowhere, or so it appeared, and what could possibly go wrong? We opted for the exact opposite. We said, we have a very clear idea. We're going to do this $52.5 million raise, do it, and 90% will go to financing the loan book. So very, very clear, simple concept. And we executed upon that roadmap relentlessly, tirelessly, and to the satisfaction of all. The Nexo tokens being a very important group for us from day one, us being Nexo token holders as well. So a very, very clear vision and a steady desire to execute upon it. The other thing that I think we did rather well is listen to our community and our clients as to what they want to see next. We started with something we had in mind, crypto-backed lending, and then when we distributed the initial proceeds of Nexo, and then we had to get creative in order to finance ourselves. That's how we invented the earn interest on crypto. And it was on stable coins initially, because again, a very clear business model that makes sense. You borrow from the retail, you extend it to your other side of the loan book, and you make your profit on the margin spread between the two interest rates at which we borrow and at which we lend. So very simple model. Another thing that I think we did rather well is not get caught up in, more assets under management, the more assets, the better, $500, $1,000 customer acquisition cost per customer, all this nonsense that a lot of our competitors, who funnily are not around to do Ask Anything sessions for their 5th birthday, got caught up in. So we stayed humble, we stayed focused, we stayed consumer oriented, we stayed conservative. We didn't get sidetracked into the mania, whether it was the ICO mania or then the NFT mania or the go long 5x with customer funds, crypto, Bitcoin, Ethereum, you name it. We are very clear in our idea that we want to build an infrastructure. We want to build the business in a way that makes sense, both in bull markets, bear markets, and sideways markets, as we talked about. So I think these are the things that we did rather well. And, I am no stranger to self-criticism. So what I think we could have done better is, not that we're without faults. I just thought of something that we did also rather well. It is, underpinning the legal infrastructure around our products. Like, we were the first one that talked about licensing and the licensing acquisition crusade, which I helped spearhead. But where we could have been better perhaps is build some of the products quicker, bring them to market quicker. And there are good explanations as to why that hasn't happened, but I think that going forward, we have to be even quicker to adapt. Yes, we always delivered what our clients want, but I am sure they wanted it 6 months earlier, a year earlier. So, while there are good excuses why that has been the case, I think that, we are dedicating a lot of time and effort, and will continue to do so going forward in improving that even further. From a housekeeping perspective, I think we did a lot of things right in terms of organic growth of the headcount of the company. But we were so, at the same time, caught up in, and I'm talking about management, the co-founders, essentially us, we could have done better at retaining the initial culture of Nexo, because it got a little bit flooded. Now it's getting better. We are dedicating time and resources to fixing that. But, in terms of critiques, I think those are the two ones: bringing things to market, and then making sure that the DNA of Nexo is without compromise. Perhaps during the conversation, some new ideas as to thoughts as to what we could have done better will pop to mind, but I think this should be the two ones for now. And with that, we can hop on to the next question, which comes from Vulcan. He asks us, will we be able to use Nexo as a bank in the future with third-party deposits and payments? Rather use Nexo than my bank. Happy birthday. And the sentence before last really melts my heart when people say, I trust Nexo more than my average bank, and I would like to keep my funds at Nexo at all time. This is like the highest degree of satisfaction that a co-founder and a manager at the fintech company can ask for. This is like all the validation we're looking for. This is what we have been all about, creating trust in the brand, in the enterprise, in the security, in the financial prudence with which we operate. And I'm glad to see that we are succeeding. We are working on and have been working on making Nexo a full-fledged bank. I'm hopeful that we'll have good news on that horizon soon. Third-party payments will be easier than third-party deposits. And this, by the way, is true for, even traditional finance. It comes back to this, that we truly live in the age of compliance. I think that, we're overdoing it a little bit. And when I say we, I don't mean we Nexo, but we, the financial sector. Well, that's a longer topic. It's about initiatives and backlashes when and if something goes wrong, and things do go wrong on the money laundering front of things. It's like, until such a time that a bank can make 10 billion laundering money and then has to pay 1 billion in a fee and a civil one. I think like all the AML policies are, just box ticking exercises. But I got sidetracked here. Third-party payments, we're working on that. I think that a testimony to that was what we launched recently, whereby you, the Nexo clients, can now have your own IBANs. Well, you've always had your own IBANs, unique IBANs, but now with your own name on the sending side as well. So when you send your funds to whatever bank that you're using, your funds come in as being sent from you, which they are, but rather having this in the reference as in the name. And this, alleviates some of the AML and compliance challenges of you transacting smoother. So I think that was a huge change and a transformation and a great accomplishment. We're working on making this possible for you to pay third parties, whereby you obliterate to a certain degree the need for a traditional bank account. So this has got us terribly excited. And with third-party deposits, yes, we can and will do that at some point. It's just I'm giving you the heads up that this will require documentation, especially for larger amounts, because AML and KYC are policies and procedures that we take very, very seriously. I think this is also part of our success, because if you look at the Nexo wallets, and we have examined this up close, we have, I would argue, the cleanest wallets in the industry. Don't quote me on the cleanest, but definitely in the top 5, I would say. So, squeaky clean, and we like that, and we'll keep it that way so that we can continue to service you in the most efficient way. And with that, I think we can move on to the third question. Right. It comes from the official Italian community, and we have a great Italian community, and we all love all things Italian, or just about all things Italian. So the question is, since 400 million of tokens were investing for the first 4 years of the company, as of today, where are these tokens right now? Happy 5th birthday, Nexo. Well, thank you for the birthday wishes. The beauty of blockchain technology is that you can actually see the movement of just about anything, even without sophisticated tools like Chainalysis and Elliptic and CoinFirm and all those guys who do forensics. So you can see where the tokens are, and you can see that very, very, very little tokens that have vested have been on the move, which means they are in the addresses where they have always been, because we are long-term believers here at Nexo. If anything, now that sufficient time has passed, I can disclose that I have purchased some tokens in the recent past. So this is also testimony. I'm talking about my personal account here, if that was not entirely clear, but I am rather being on the buying side of things. So I continue to be bullish on the Nexo token. Again, very little tokens on the move. Our employees, to whom I again would like to express my gratitude for all their hard work, they receive ways by virtue of which they can acquire Nexo tokens at preferential terms. This is no secret. This is true for most companies in the blockchain space. And I think that, the vast majority is holding on to their tokens. So, a little testimony to the strength of our beliefs in our own Nexo token. I think on a personal level that, hopefully this huge correction in crypto is a thing of the past, and brighter days are ahead of us after the very, very challenging 2022 with hard lessons to be learned. But, a cleansing of the space for its betterment, and hopefully from henceforth we can have a more fundamentally sound space with less bad actors and less bad apples that have been selected out, and with less irrational exuberance, even though when I'm looking at meme coins and what they have been doing this past few weeks, I might have to revise my optimism about that bit, but you gotta have some fun. So meme coins are here to stay, as well as the Nexo token. And I bet you that over the long term, when you talk in 5 years, the meme coins, there will be meme coins, but they'll be not the ones that we're currently talking about. Whereas I'm hopeful that the Nexo token will be there at significantly higher levels. With that, we can move on to the next question. Grando asks us, how will the departure from the US affect past relationships such as the stake in Summit National Bank and the partnership with Fidelity? I'm going to take a sip of water, not because it's a challenging question, but because I have been talking way too much for the first 3 questions. So bear with me 1 second. The departure from the US is not something that just came overnight. One morning we woke up and decided to leave the US. We have been very observant of what is happening in the US, the regulatory changes that were visible and audible through the grapevines, and just like the signals that various different administrations have been giving. So we took this decision a long time ago. We worked upon our departure from the United States for, I think, close to 18 months with our legal counsel in the United States and with the various regulators, so that we do this in an orderly fashion, so that the constituents are happy, that the regulators are happy, and that we are happy. And at the same time, when offboarding certain states and clients and exiting the US, we have been exploring new markets, building up market share elsewhere, shifting our comms, the products in a way that we can make up for any potential territorial loss. What a good pun, not intended, but I think goes well. Where it goes to, investments such as Summit Bank, we are investors there. Yes, we had some plans for utilizing them in our infrastructure. i.e. Tapping into their existing banking infrastructure, and the team there has knowledge and expertise on that front. So, now the focus is shifting. We will be investors. It's not a huge amount that we invested. It was, I think, disclosed at single-digit millions, our equity stake there. So it is an equity investment by the company, not a huge one that exposes in any way the the Nexo token holder or the clients, but I think the investment is performing well. And with regards to partnerships such as Fidelity, MasterCard, they are well beyond just the United States. So I don't think they will be implemented in any meaningful way by our departure from the US. So, takeaway, we have been preparing for this. We have been making adjustments. We have adjusted. So for us, this is not a big deal, but a happy ending of a very turbulent saga, which we are happy to put behind and now focus on other markets until such a time that the United States figures out what it wants to do with crypto. And if you have been following the news cycle this past month or two, you'll see that, we have taken the right decision. Some people and companies got sued. Some, like Nexo and Kraken, they settled, they exited the US in an orderly fashion. And this also tells you a little bit about the reasons for our success story. Moving on to the fifth question. Any plans on expanding to new markets to fill the gap for leaving the US and Canada, asks Ruben. I briefly touched upon that question. Yes, since these were premeditated moves and exits and wind downs, we have been diversifying geographically. I think highlighting, the MENA region, which is the Middle East and North Africa, I think it holds huge potential on a number of accounts. First of all, to the UAE, there's a huge influx of crypto-savvy, crypto-rich folk. So this is a segment that we would like to cater to. A lot of expats who have direct exposure to crypto, a lot of wealthy people generally relocating here on other merits and reasons I will not go into, but people that are potentially interested in crypto and the benefits that it brings in terms of banking capabilities, store of value, transfer of wealth, succession, if you will. Again, no pun intended with this being the name of the series that is super exciting and in its final season. See where that goes. But, the Middle East and obviously the locals, they are known to have certain assets, financial ones. So their interest in crypto is peaking. Same with North Africa, them being underbanked in many of the countries, they turn to crypto and crypto turn to them. And then overall, to encapsulate it, there is a very welcoming regulatory regime and government and administration that would like to see crypto succeed on a number of different metrics. So we are excited to be exploring that market. And the last one that I will mention is Latin America. It is super exciting, lots of crypto there and a peaking interest. I think the penetration of crypto is among the highest in many countries such as Brazil and Argentina, where they've had what might or might not come down on us Westerners, which is high rates of inflation. I know it was all transitory. We then had 10 hikes in a row. Tells you a little bit something about the transitory nature of it all. Now the pendulum has swung in the exact opposite, and we are, at the other end of the spectrum, where the most powerful central bank appears to be prepared to do anything to curb inflation by interest rate hikes, and we see what that potentially breaks. But yeah, I mean, we are diversifying geographically in all sorts of directions. We are looking for people that are interested in crypto and their geographies, so in those where there's potential for them to get interested, and also the ones that have the most welcoming regulation. And with that, I think we can move on to the next question. Can you give us some more information about what happened in Bulgaria with the raids? How can we be sure that nothing will happen to Nexo because of this? Great question. You know, at Nexo, we really value transparency. And the reason I haven't been talking that much about that, apart from a Bloomberg interview that I did some time ago, well, it was a lengthier interview, is the following. I don't think that has any bearing on the Nexo business. That's why I'm not boring you guys with that. That is the very short and true answer to the Bulgarian situation, to the extent that there is a situation. You know, our business total outflow was less than 2% because people very quickly recognized this for the politically motivated shakedown, which these raids truly were. There were nefarious motives behind it. You know, I don't live in Bulgaria for a very long time. Yes, we have people there and teams that are working there. We never offered our products and services in Bulgaria, so I don't believe that they even have jurisdiction to go after us. But the very sad truth to the matter is that apart from loud press conferences to boost PR capital, there has been very little follow through. And if in the unlikely event that these ridiculous allegations, the ridiculousness of which we have shown very quickly and efficiently, ever sees the light of a court, it will be funny how quickly that will get smacked down. So it doesn't worry me. It has no repercussions on the Nexo business. That's why I don't talk about it, because it's a non-event to us. Business as usual. We continue to deliver for you guys. We are organically expanding. And I truly want to appreciate those of you that have come in post those, ridiculous scenes that we saw out of Bulgaria, and those that decided to stay with us. I think that we have proven to you time and again the resilience of the company, its infrastructure, the stringent money management techniques that we have, and that have allowed us to weather the storm of 2022 with flying colors. And I think, ultimately actions speak louder than words, and people recognize what is rhetoric and PR and what are the things that truly matter. And I think we've done one of the finer jobs in, just keeping our heads down and focusing on delivering for you. With that, we can move on to the next question. After USD crashing, CeFi services collapsing, FUD, and all the fear you can get, Nexo are still standing and offering new services. What's your secret? Asks me, Gonzalo from Spain. Well, there is no secret. The secret is transparency, hard work, a clear vision, executing upon our roadmap, listening to our clients, never get caught up in what the new cool thing is, whether it's, NFTs, whether it is, flash loans, uncollateralized loans, whatever low-hanging fruit there is, just refuse the temptations of illusory easy money, and know that, it takes conservatism, it takes focus, it takes resolve to not yield to the easy stuff that at the end of the day, when it's too good to be true, it usually is, but rather focus on, what is important, what has stood the test of time, and, sacrifice assets under management. Yes, Celsius at some point were having double our assets under management. But where are they now? Where are we? You know, for every ad hominem attack that their CEO made against me, against the company, I have responded exactly 0 times. You know, stay humble, stay focused, stay working, and that's it. It's not rocket science. You know, all good business practices, you can narrow them down to a few simple rules that I highlighted, and then obviously some luck. You know, you have to have the vision, be at the right place, right time, right industry. But apart from that, it's just hard work. There is no secret sauce. That's the secret sauce: hard work and listening to your people, and don't get tempted by the easy stuff. All right, next question. Any plans for adding insurance for deposits, asks me Chris. That's a great question, Chris. A few thoughts on deposit insurance from me. You know, I don't want to sound arrogant, but I don't think that FDI insurance gets us very far. Luckily, crypto folk have generally done well. So the needs for deposit insurance are sometimes, in many cases, well beyond what is in the United States, you know, 250,000, in Europe, 100K euros. In the UK, I think it's 80,000 pounds, if I'm not mistaken. So yes, obviously this covers a lot of folk and that's your risk-free, but you know, this to me is outdated. It hasn't even kept up with inflation, again, transitory, but not. So I think the deposit insurance for the entire industry needs revisiting because it's outdated. It's not enough. So whether the Fed will come up by guaranteeing all deposits, you know, this is something that can be debated, should be debated, and ultimately I think it has to be much, much higher. So, you know, I'm saying this when comparing, like, we have no insurance on deposits and a traditional bank which has up to 250K, and sounds great, but it's not a solution for a lot of folk, and increasingly more people have assets in excess of that. So I think it begs the question of how much better is the current banking system after all, and I'll let you, the viewers, decide that for yourself, because I get quoted by the regulators when I assure my opinion, but I guess you know in which direction it goes. And then the second is that, you know, it's one thing for a Federal Reserve to provide deposit insurance on an asset that it could, for a lack of a better term, issue more of at will. You know, it's funny, but it's true. Whereas I cannot create Bitcoin, so it will be, you know, somewhat harder for us as an institution to offer deposits. But there are companies that are offering some sort of insurance of deposits that goes well beyond of what your national regulator is offering. But then we get into the question of counterparty risk and, you know, will they pay? How much will they pay? So it's a tricky question. We have been examining it. I don't think that we have a slam dunk type of solution here. Not because it's us Nexo, but because, like, hopefully by my very lengthy answer, you have captured the essence of what I'm saying, which is that, you know, even the traditional banks, the vast majority of them don't have an answer to that. So it begs rethinking of the entire notion of deposit insurance, and you know, we will be following that, and as soon as there is a viable, satisfying solution that will make sure that we don't lure in people trusting Nexo because they think they will have an insurance which has then counterparty risk, which renders it pointless. we'll keep you posted. We're definitely working on that. I like the concept of it. I think it's just a little bit hard to implement as the current financial system is structured right now. Moving on to the next question is question number 9 from an anonymous. By the end of 2025, what is your price prediction of Nexo? What do you think? Well, I don't know. Higher than today. How much higher? It's difficult to say. I think our all-time high is around 4. Traded for a short while, but the all-time high is near 4. I don't see a reason why in a general bull market in crypto, we would not be among the good performers, the best performers. So it really depends on the sector. Like if Bitcoin tanks to, I don't know, $5,000, I don't think it will, but if it does, obviously we're not going to be at $10 anytime soon. Whereas if interest rate hikes slow down, the Fed reevaluates their policy making yet again, and if we are in a rate cutting type of mode anytime soon, and then crypto is a risk-on asset, even though it has performed rather phenomenally well during the banking crisis. The hope of us all for this to be an inflation hedge and a better version of gold 2.0, etc. In that type of environment, I think Nexo will thrive because the business will thrive, because the Nexo token is so closely aligned with the business. It makes sense on so many levels that with the growth of the industry, of Nexo, of the platform, of the use cases, which we're constantly adding on, I don't see a limit. The limit is the space as such, but it will grow on its own. Our own bubble will get bigger, and then new people will come into our own bubble, our collective then bubble, and good times might be upon us. But at the time being, I think that we are still at the whims of the general financial market sector, equities, risk on, commodities, and the policy of the Fed. So discounting mechanisms, this is what all securities and tradable assets are. So they anticipate events, and hopefully what we have seen in the past few months is that they are anticipating more risk on type of prompting by the central bankers. And with that, I think Nexo will perform very, very interestingly. Obviously not financial advice, but I am bullish. That's all I have to say. All right, moving on to the next question. I believe by looking at it that it is our last question. How do you see Nexo developing in the next 5 years? Asks me Cecilia. And thank you, Cecilia. It is a great question. I see us keeping our DNA, growing more comrades and allies in light of our DNA, so that we can continue to stay humble, continue to work relentlessly, heartlessly by listening to you people, and then develop an entire suite of products and services that caters around any possible financial need, request, whether it's your first time buying Bitcoin, exchanging it for the various different exciting assets or asset classes for that matter, just storing your value, whether it is, on a centralized custodial manner so that you can earn interest while you are not investing your assets and not flipping them for different ones, or non-custodially because you believe that this is the right thing for you. I want us to have everything on the platform. I want you to be able to play your supplier, send money to your kid, to your spouse, your business partners, to make investments, all of the above. NFTs, whether it's the current exciting yet very nascent form of pictures and art and objects, which are digital, or something more hybrid, where you could have the deed of your house on the blockchain, on an NFT, in your Nexo wallet, so that it is your financial universe. I want Nexo to be your financial universe, potentially, for you to use as much or as little as you see fit. But I want us to have, like, whatever you think around the product and financial service, we have it. You can use it. You can utilize it. Everything you can come up with, we have it there for you, ready, available, with the ease of the Nexo platform and the mobile app. I am absolutely certain that somehow, and I don't know exactly how, but artificial intelligence will make up an important part of Nexo's 5 years, whether it will help build better products, develop, gather feedback, and allow us to then implement it or guide you through the product in a very efficient way. I think we only have scratched the surface here with ChatGTP and AutoGTP and all those nice, neat little tools that we're seeing out there. And I said little, but not to belittle it. These are humongous accomplishments of human ingenuity. So I think they will have their place at the Nexo suite of products and services, and we just don't know their full potential. But financially, I want us to be your universe. This is my vision for Nexo, underpinned with its security on an infrastructure level, on a legal and compliance side of things, so that it becomes a bulletproof universe, Swiss vault type of security in every aspect, so that you don't have to worry ever about your security, and you feel absolutely confident that we have your back, just like we did the previous 5 years, that we'll continue to do that in the next 5 years. And with that, I would like to thank you so much for joining me on this incredible occasion, which is Nexo's 5th birthday of the launch of the platform. We started working on Nexo in September. It will be 6 years, so almost half a year before that. Again, my thanks go out to everybody who has been there since day one. Costa for getting the idea, Vasil, our CTO, for laying the groundwork upon which, even to this day, the building blocks of the software are developed. Kalin, who has been an enormous force in helping us gather the funds. Everybody from the very, very early on. Teodoro, with whom we traveled the world to present the Nexo case. Yasin, an incredible guy who doesn't get a lot of the credit, but we the early ones at Nexo really know how incremental you have been. And then just everybody else who joined, you know who you are. I don't have another hour to go through all the names, but I just felt like, this tiny little team with which we kicked off things should be mentioned by name. And with that, again, huge thanks to the team, huge thanks to you, the Nexo clients, the Nexo Tech token holders, our earliest believers. We have people still holding Nexo token from the ICO. It always warms my heart. I used to be so close to the action, and I knew, like, by name all the people. And to this day, when I see a name and like, oh, this is one of the old guys, I remember them from the ICO days. It's absolutely insane what these 5 years have been in terms of joyrides, in terms of challenges. There always are challenges, but like a phenomenal ride. And I'm super grateful to be having the privilege to experience that firsthand. And, I am absolutely certain that the next 5 years will be nothing short of phenomenal as well. So stick around. We're here for you. We'll always be here for you. Take care. And until next time.